If you're married and miserable, this might be the reason. Because everything you were taught about love is a lie.
We're going live, baby.
We'll do it live.
You're listening to the premier podcast for men who want to not only be better with women, but want to be better men in general. This is the Come On Man podcast. And here's your host,
Paul Bauer.
Paul Bauer.
Paul Bauer.
Paul Bauer.
Paul Bauer.
Paul Bauer. He is a certified master life coach and NLP practitioner.
Happy Monday, folks. We're going to be talking about relationship myths you probably believe, or at least were brought up believing. It's always fun. It's always fun looking back at ineffective blue pill paradigms. The workshop this last Saturday was a banger, man. It was a good one. If you missed it, it sucks to suck, man. Sucks to suck. But get my free ebook here. Get my free ebook. The link's in the description. It's the top link in the description. That way you're on my email list so that you can be notified for the next one, so you can be prepared for it. I have them once a month. So if you were caught off guard, oh my God, just get the ebook, okay? Guys, if you are new to the channel, my name is Paul Bauer, and I help men level up and get better with women. And the funny thing about doing that is that it tends to make us better men in all areas of our lives. Now, does this sound familiar? You did everything right. You provided, protected, stayed loyal, and now your marriage feels like a chore, not a connection. She's distant, you feel disrespected, and the intimacy is gone. You're walking on eggshells, trying not to upset her, and it's only getting worse. This episode breaks down the top 3 myths that are silently destroying your marriage. And stick around, because by the end, you'll see exactly what to do to reclaim power, your peace, bro, and your romantic relationship. Before we get into it, do be sure to, where is it at? Do be sure to like, subscribe, hit those notifications. I have new episodes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday without fail so far. If you guys are watching live right now, do sound off in the live chat. I want to hear from you. And, if you find value in this content, do consider sending a super chat. I know you guys have the money. Y'all are sending these 304s, $500. This chick, she's just an overaged, cute gaming chick, and some dudes just send her $500, and she doesn't give you any valuable information that can absolutely change your life. Your boy's only asking for a ducat or two, okay? Just throw your boy a bone here. All right. Just out here busking for you guys. Out in the subway with my guitar. All right, let's talk about what you were taught is hurting you. Let's unpack how doing the right thing can sabotage a marriage if it's based on blue-pilled myths. Because when we're talking about doing the right thing, we're talking about according to blue-pilled belief systems, right? Myth number 1, you hear me talking about it all the time, is the happy wife, happy life paradigm, right? Why constantly pleasing her kills attraction. Here's the thing, like, we're raised to not rock the boat. You can't rock the boat at all. You can't hold boundaries. If you hold boundaries, oh my gosh, you're a tyrant, you're controlling, you're insecure, you got LDS, right? Little D syndrome. We can't say it. We're not at the 8-minute mark. Okay. But like, women will, Pearl said it really good yesterday on Twitter, or Pearl's copywriters, who's ever writing her tweets, right? They said it really well. They said that women will try shaming the crap out of you before they'll ever try being nice to you in a way to manipulate you. I see it all the time. You're bald, you're an incel, you got an LDS, like whatever, right? Like, they just throw all this kind of stuff, these insults. Whenever you tell guys, hey man, it's okay to tell your wife no, it's okay, right? All of a sudden you're one of those misogynists. But that's society sort of enabling this ineffective paradigm of happy wife, happy life. And all these dudes believe it. And I see guys make content like this all the time, right? Like can't possibly upset your wife, and if you are trying to enforce a boundary and she starts sulking and crying and saying how mean you are, that's when guys immediately start backing down and go, oh, I'm sorry, honey. I'm sorry. You're right. You can do whatever you want. Okay. You can go out with your 304 friends. No problem. You're right. I'm just an insecure man, right? Can't possibly enforce that boundary, like, hey, and this is how you enforce a boundary like that, right? You don't want your girl going out with her slooty sloot 304 friends. You just say, hey, I can't be in a relationship with a woman that goes out with her slooty sloot 304 friends. Okay. I can't do that. I'm not going to allow that into my life. Right? That you're not telling her she can't go. Hey, by all means, you just can't be in my life anymore. That's all. That's her choice now. Oh, you're so controlling, Paul. Oh, man. Myth number 2, egalitarian marriages make the best marriages. It sounds good on paper, right? On paper, equal partnership sounds ideal. Like, oh, we're going to equally split up the duties all together. Okay. Like it or not, though, okay, there's only one driver's seat in the car. Okay. There's only one steering wheel. Someone's got to drive the car, right? Even if you wanted to be like, okay, we're equal partners, we're going to have equal jobs in the house, only one person can really sit down and effectively balance the budget and write checks and pay all the bills, right? Only one person at a time can vacuum the floor. I mean, I guess you could get 2 vacuums, knock it out quicker. But most houses don't have both people vacuuming, right? Like one person's vacuuming. Someone's got to do a job, right? And I'll tell you what, I put it out on Twitter yesterday. The original tweet that it went viral. Thank you to Pearl. Pearl retweeted it, and but there was a picture of some, Instagram chick, and she was in the caption said, a real flex for a man is being able to let your wife retire from full-time work and become a stay-at-home mom or something. That's real flex for a man. Of course, it was a woman in the background saying it, because I'm like, it's more of a flex for her to go into early retirement, right? Not to say that being a stay-at-home mom, like if a woman truly, and I'm talking about in her heart of hearts, wants to be a good mom and be there for her kids and take care of the household duties and take care of her husband and the family and actually nurture that family and nurture that relationship, man, that is honorable, right? That's a wonderful job for a woman to do for her family. It's noble. But so my quote tweet on that was that 99.99% of women these days have no interest in doing that. They just want early retirement. It's true. It's true. They just don't want to work anymore. And so what happens is when you put them in early retirement by making them a stay-at-home mom or a housewife, right? What do? Well, they hand their kids one of these things, or they hand their kids a tablet, or they plop their kids in front of Blue's Clues. And you ask me how I know this stuff. I was married to one. I let her quit her job, so it was an ultimate flex for me. No. And so she would plop the kids in front of the TV. She would hand them cell phones, hand them, tablets or whatever to keep them occupied. The big thing she would do is she would make mommy circle friends, right? She had a friends group of mommies, and she would go and have play dates with the moms while they drank, had lattes and mimosas and stuff like that. That's not hard. That's not hard work. That's not what being a homemaker was. And when you come home to eat, what is she making? She's making, Kraft mac and cheese. She's making, Stouffer's. She's not like baking all day and trying to make you a home cooked meal. Everything's got to be easy, and everything. It was wanted to not work. All three of her sisters were the exact same way. Her mom was the exact same way. Exact same way. Okay. Anyway. So what happens is, right, on paper, equal partnership sounds ideal. And then they become stay-at-home moms. And then, oh, all this housework is so hard. Oh, I know you've been working 18-hour days to put food on the table and keep a roof over our heads, but can you also do my job too, which is do the laundry and do the dishes and vacuum? No, I have a job. This is your job. No. But I also understand the argument that most women these days aren't stay-at-home moms. They aren't, housewives, right? They have jobs too. So I can also understand the argument that, okay, well, if we're both working, we both need to split up the chores in some fashion. Okay. Like I can get that, right? But here's the thing. When no one leads, the marriage loses polarity, but that doesn't happen. Someone's always leading. Like I said, there's only one steering wheel in the car. Someone has to drive. Right. And so what happens is a lot of guys, in order to keep their wife happy, remember, happy wife, happy life, they hand the driving duties over to their wife. And how do they do that? By always needing to have her buy-in on things. I like, where do you want to eat for dinner tonight, honey? I want to make sure you're the one that's happy, because I don't really care where we eat. But I don't want to upset you at all. I don't want to pick the wrong place. I'm walking on eggshells around your emotions. So they hand the keys of the Jeep over to their wife, and then their wife, now she's in charge. These guys can't make a decision for shit because they need her buy-in. And now she's the one running the relationship. And guess what? She doesn't want to run the relationship. She wants you to run the fucking relationship and call it equality, right? She wants you to set the tone and lead, because that's a man's job. That's the masculine role in a relationship. And that's what I mean by polarity, right? Masculine and feminine energy. They were meant to complement each other, right? But your job in that masculine role is to set the tone and lead. You are supposed to be the one that's leading, and therefore it's not an equal partnership. You're in charge. You're overall in charge of the mission. She's there to help you support the mission, but you're overall in charge, right? Most men hand over the reins, right, over conflict, and in doing so, they surrender the very thing that makes them attractive. And when your wife has to lead, it's not natural to her feminine essence, and that creates resentment on her part. Now she looks at you like just another child she has to take care of in the house, right? You're just another checkbox on her to-do list. And when I say to do, I don't mean to do as in the bedroom in a fun way. I'm talking about she's got to take care of your ass too, right? And so, but that's because you're not setting the tone and leading. You're not making like important decisions. You're not doing your job. Myth number 3, if you just love her more, man, she'll change. If you just love her just more, you're just not loving her quite enough. This is sort of like the church's philosophy, right? The happy, not the happy wife, but the be a servant leader. You got to be a servant leader, right? Well, you're just not loving your wife enough, and that's the problem. That's not how women work, though. That's not how women work, right? Women don't love the same way as men do, right? And so, like, in our own solipsistic way, we look at it like, oh, well, if she just loved me more, like, I would change. I would do things differently, right? So we do the same thing back to women expecting something different. Well, they don't love men the same way men do. Women don't love men the way men expect to be loved, because it's based on, let's see, women don't love the way men do. I wrote this down like in a hurry yesterday. Women don't love men the way men expect to be loved, based on societal programming, right? Like we expect women to love us like unconditionally, almost like the way the Bible describes love. How does the Bible describe love. It's like, how does the Bible describe love? And this was all written by a man. The Bible describes love as a profound, active virtue encompassing both emotion and action, characterized by patience, kindness, and selflessness, right? Women don't love men that way. It's all about, what have you done for me lately? When you're not performing, when you're not doing what she thinks you should be doing, she stops loving you. She's not getting the value out of this relationship that she's expecting, right? And you're just trying to love her harder, bro. You're loving her harder, right? Women do love men, though. All right, don't get me wrong. I don't think women are incapable of love. You hear that a lot in the men's or the MGTOW space, right? Like, women are incapable of love, right? You'll hear guys like Coach Greg Adams will say, the way this is how it works. Like, love flows downward from the man to the woman to the child, and then respect flows upward from the child to the woman to the husband. But that's not love, right? But here's the thing. Okay, I think women do love you, right? But it's fundamentally based on what you can do for her, right? So you've got to be able to protect her and her offspring. You've got to provide for her and her offspring. You got to dick her down right so she can't remember her own name. That's a big part of this. Okay, if you're not doing that right, she's not going to stick around. You've got to set the tone and lead the relationship. You've got to provide structure for her and the family. That's a part of your job. That's where boundaries comes in. You're providing structure, and that structure that you're providing that she can't, her feminine energy won't let her provide that same structure that she needs to feel safe and secure in the relationship. That's your job. And that's where stuff like boundaries come in, right? But that's your job. You have to provide structure for her and the family. And if you can't do all of those things, she will instinctively look for a better option. That's hypergamy. That's Breitholt's law. Okay. The nice guy in marriage dynamic and its dangers. Here's a problem. Like, with guys that suffer from classic nice guy syndrome. When we say nice guy, we're not talking about guys that are kind, right? You can be kind. You can be a kind man. You can be a good man. You just can't be a nice guy, right? So we're talking about nice guy behavior as defined by Dr. Robert Glover's book, No More Mr. Nice Guy. But nice guys in marriage, they seek validation through self-sacrifice and emotional suppression, right? How many of you guys who are recovering nice guys, and I did the same thing, I'm a recovering nice guy, right, would just bust your back and set yourself on fire in order to keep your wife and the family warm, right? You would set yourself on fire to keep them warm, right? Well, when you do all that, you're sort of doing it with an expectation. Well, I just want you to love me. I want you to, I want you to initiate sex sometimes. I want you to, whatever. But doing all that kind of stuff, expecting something in return, that's classic nice guy behavior. So you're seeking validation for all your sacrifices and all the stuff that you do. And I helped your sister move last weekend. But they also avoid conflict to maintain harmony. But by doing that, by choosing your battles, bro, you lose her respect in the process because you're not setting that structure that I talked about. And you end up becoming passive, creating emotional distance and sexual disinterest. A lot of guys, when they're not getting their needs met, instead of articulating their needs, in a form of like setting boundaries and ground rules and, tolerating bad behavior and whatever, when you're not doing that, right, you're being passive and you're just allowing your wife's shitty behavior, right? But it creates emotional distance and sexual disinterest because she doesn't respect your ass anymore. And a woman can't love a man she doesn't respect. Stick around. In the next segment, we're going to talk about why trying harder makes things worse. But before we get into that, do follow me on social media. The links are in the description. I'm on all the good platforms. I'm pissing a lot of people off on X lately, thanks to the tweets yesterday. So going back to it, I quote tweeted that meme and I said 99% of women have zero interest in being an actual stay-at-home mom and a wife. They just want early retirement. And that went viral thanks to Pearl. And so because that was going viral, I decided to double down on it, and I turned that into a whole Twitter thread that explains my personal experience with that, with my own ex-wife just wanting early retirement, right? So that's sort of where my sort of thought process comes from, this my paradigm. But you can check that out on X, guys. If you haven't done so already, grab my book, Get Her to Fuck You Again. That explains, like, if your relationship is eroding and you're feeling a lot of resentment for your wife right now, and she's not putting out anymore, and you think you're owed better, but you also don't know how to turn things around, get the book, Get Her to Fuck You Again. It's available on Amazon and Audible. Actually, it's killing it on Audible right now. My Audible books are selling 250% more than the paperback and Kindle edition. So, but if you can find the audio version, if you go to books.comeonmanpod.com, let me play a commercial for that, and then we'll get back to the topic.
Are you tired of the dead bedroom? Wondering what happened to the passion, the connection, and the spark? Well, here's your answer. Introducing Get Her to Fuck You Again, a red pill guide to fix a dead bedroom, now on Amazon. This isn't about manipulation or tricks. It's about real strategies that work. If your wife has stopped being intimate with you, it's not because the love is gone. It's because the attraction is gone. And that's fixable. This book will teach you the skills to lead your marriage, rebuild your confidence, and become the man she can't stop thinking about. 3 reasons to get this book. 1. It breaks the cycle. You'll learn how to stop doing the same things that are killing her attraction and start doing the things that reignite it. 2. It's practical and proven. With clear, actionable steps, you'll build yourself into the man you were always meant to be. 3. It works for men like you. Paul Bauer has helped hundreds of men just like you fix their dead bedrooms. And now, it's your turn. Don't let another day go by feeling frustrated and disconnected. Go to Amazon right now and buy Get Her to Fuck You Again. Read it, apply it, and watch your marriage transform. The connection isn't gone forever. You just need the roadmap to get it back. And this book is it.
All right, we got a bunch of people in the chat. Nurse Chick's in the house. She says, "Good morning, gentlemen. Have a fantastic Monday." Nurse Chick automatically gets this.
So naughty.
I'm gonna come.
Yes, definitely. Guys, Nurse Chick finished her book yesterday finally and handed it off to the editor. So that should be good. We'll try to get that out at least in paperback and Kindle relatively quickly here, and then Nurse Chick's got to sit down and record her first audiobook. So you guys will get to hear the soft, sultry sounds of Nurse Chick reading that audiobook, because I'm making her do. You don't want to hear my voice telling, reading a woman's book on women's relationship advice. You don't want to hear that. That would be weird. Hey, Donna's in the house. Hey, good morning, Donna. How's it going? Hey, brother Dan's in the house. Good morning, brother. Let's see here. Will's in the house. Brother Will's in the house. Good morning, gentlemen. And Nurse Chick. And Stylist Souls in the house. Is Wolfpack in the heezy? Can I get a too sweet, baby? Too sweet? All right. Speaking of Wolfpack, I'll talk about it in a little bit, but this Saturday, I know it's July 4th weekend, but this Saturday on the 5th, we're doing our private Wolfpack pod class. Brother David's going to be joining me, and we're going to be talking about how to handle really bad news, right? And what we're primarily going to be talking about is, when you get like those terminal medical notices, right? Because David, brother David at Wolfpack, he's a kidney transplant survivor. Can you imagine being told, like, hey, by the way, your kidneys are failing you and you need to go on dialysis, and we got to get you on the list for a transplant, and like the survival rates only blah, blah, that would be a hard news to hear. Right. We got another guy in Wolfpack that's going through a pretty nasty medical situation that's potentially life-threatening. And so Dave has actually reached out to that guy and been chatting with that guy and just trying to work with him and stuff. And that's what we do. That's what the brotherhood, we lift each other up. Okay. So we'll talk about that here in a little bit. Let's talk about how married men lose themselves and their wives' respect. Here's the thing. You became the provider, bro, but not the patriarch. Well, society says the patriarchy is toxic. It's toxic masculinity. The thing is, though, society's been slowly pushing us in this direction, but the divorce rates been going up, right? Our divorce rate is atrocious. And when you look at Ryan Stone's book on Dread, he talks about how 50% of marriages end in divorce, and of the 50% that stay together, only 25% of people self-report being happy. That's a 25% success rate is not good. That's not good. Okay. But what's been going on since the 60s? We've been pushing this egalitarian fairy tale and, down with the patriarchy and all this kind of stuff, and men bad and women good and men are toxic and whatever. And so families are getting destroyed by this, right? So what happens is women get with guys, and guys don't want to be the patriarch because they've been told their whole lives that it's toxic. And so they go really hard on the provider part, but not so good on the protector part. You know what I mean? Most guys couldn't fight their way out of a wet paper bag these days. So here's the thing, bro. You're doing too much providing and nurturing dad stuff. That's the beta side of hypergamy. Now here's the thing. It's not necessarily a bad thing. If you're going to be in a long-term relationship and you understand how hypergamy works, women do need that in their life. They need a guy who has a soft side, right? But that you can't lead with that. That can't be your primary feature, right? If you don't want to end up in a dead bedroom anyway, right? And if you end up in a dead bedroom, it's because you're going too hard on the beta side of hypergamy. She doesn't want to bang you anymore, right? So you've got to have it's got to be like an 80-20 split, right? You've got to be 80% alpha, 20% beta, and just sprinkle like Salt Bae a little beta on it. You stop being attractive because of that, right? Now you might stay in shape. You might look at Tom Brady. Tom Brady is in great shape, but his wife cheated on him, right? Because he's probably what we call like a blue-pilled, or he's a blue-pilled alpha, right? Blue-pilled alpha. Like he has all the features, but he has no game and frame. And so he might be a physically attractive, but his behavior is unattractive, and she went and cheated on him, right? So you're doing too much providing and nurturing dad stuff. You're going too hard on the beta side of hypergamy. It's just not blowing her skirt up anymore. Okay. So for her to feel protected, right, you have to demonstrate some form of controlled violence so she can feel your power. She wants to feel your strength. Women are feeling creatures, right? Now, I'm not saying you have to go beat people up in the streets. You go punch drywall. That stuff's not a good idea. Right. But being dominant in the relationship, telling her what to do, not taking her so seriously, being able to set firm boundaries, have the booming dad voice, like that kind of stuff makes women feel protected. When you're providing that structure, she feels protected. Okay. Whether that's, there's any kind of real threats or not, it doesn't matter. It's all about feels for women, right? She's got to feel safe and secure in the relationship. And that part of that is you providing that structure, that dominant masculine patriarchal structure. But another way that women feel protected because you've demonstrated some form of controlled violence. I just saw a clip the other day. My man Sterling Cooper, former Prawn star, Sterling Cooper, who's also a former Rule Zero panelist, a fellow Rule Zero panelist. And he's been on the podcast before too. Sterling's a good guy. I like Sterling. But Sterling had a clip about being dominant in the bedroom. When you're dominant in the bedroom, this is why women they gravitate towards the BDSM type stuff, right? They love, 50 Shades of Grey didn't sell hundreds of millions of copies for no reason, right? And it wasn't dudes buying that. It was bored housewives wanting to be dominated in the bedroom, and a lot of that is because she wants to feel your strength and your power, right? So women like that. They like you being a little rough with them in the bedroom, right? Well, that's why it makes her feel more safe and secure knowing that you're, dominant masculine man. That's what that's what her monkey brain is craving. It doesn't matter if she has blue or pink hair. That's what she craves because that's what it's in her DNA. Okay. And your needs have been buried under responsibilities and fear of confrontation. So a lot of nice guys, they're also afraid to express those needs. Right? I need this. I have to be I need this in my relationship. I need to have sex at least this many times a week in a relationship. Otherwise it doesn't work for me. Okay. But a lot of you guys, man, this goes back to the episode I did last week on the contenders list, right? The contenders list. I talk about it a lot, but it's in my first book. I talk about the contenders list. A lot of you guys don't do this contenders list thing when you're out on the dating circuit. So you're not filtering women out. You're just taking what you can get. You're just taking the low-hanging fruit out there, and you're in relationships that you should never be in the first place. But this is like, women are only as shitty as we allow them to be, right? And so while you're out dating and spinning plates and getting to know these women, if they're not showing up the way that you need them to show up, fucking stop talking to them, right? And move on to other chicks. And you're going to find, if you're dating multiple women at once, that the cream rises to the top much quicker. But most of you guys don't do that. Most of you guys go one girl at a time. You waste months at a time, and it becomes just an exhausting experience because none of these women are meeting your needs, and you're allowing shitty behavior. But you also don't want to be on the dating circuit. So you're like, I can work with this. I can fix this. And you can't fix these chicks. Okay. So a lot of guys, they do a lot of covert contract stuff, hoping women just get it. Right. Well, you're being passive when you do that, which is basically means you're acting like a woman, and women don't want to date other women. Right. Unless they're lesbians. Right. Shout out to the lesbians out there. She says she's unhappy, but doesn't want to fix it either. A lot of women actually, I think, do want to fix things. They just don't know how to fix things. Right. And despite being the biggest consumers of relationship content, the content that they gravitate towards feels good, but it's completely ineffective at fixing their relationship. Right. At the end of the day, she wants you to get it. She wants you to just get it. And if she feels like, if she has to tell you how to be a man, well, that to her, you don't get it, and you're just not the right man for her. That's how women operate. They're like, I shouldn't have to tell him. He should just know. Right? That's why guys get upset. Like, well, we're not mind readers. We're not mind readers. How are we supposed to just know? Well, that's why you tune into podcasts like this, right? You guys have studied this stuff. We'll put you on game, bro. We'll tell you. She won't. She just hopes you figure it out, right? But most guys, they're not going to. They won't invest in themselves, right? I had a dozen guys. I had a dozen guys sign up for the workshop for Saturday. One guy showed up live. One guy. Okay. So the replay is up for 3 days after that. We'll see how many of those guys tune in for the replay, but I guarantee probably half will tune in for the replay before I take it down on tomorrow, I think. Before I take it down, half of them will watch it. The other half just feel good for having paid for it, right? Guys don't want to do shit. And then they complain that their relationships are failing and that women file for 80% of divorces, right? So the one guy that showed up, he's a part of the top 3% because he fucking not only paid, he showed up and he did the fucking work, right? Most of you guys out here are lazy as fuck. You guys deserve what you get. Let me tell you a story. Imagine a man sitting alone at his kitchen table. It's late. The house is quiet, too quiet. The kids are asleep. The woman he married, she's on the couch, scrolling, distant. Now picture this. 15 years ago, this man, Michael, stood at the same table, beaming, carving a Thanksgiving turkey, thinking, this is it. This is the dream. He built everything for them, worked long hours, gave up the things he loved. He didn't complain. He just provided. Over time, he told himself that was enough. That being steady, safe, predictable, that would keep her heart close. But something changed. The way she looked at him changed. The warmth faded. The spark, gone. And then, just like that, came the words no man forgets. I love you, but I'm not in love with you. Can you feel it? That knife between the ribs? The air goes out of the room. He stares at her, hollow, as if seeing a stranger. Now pause and ask yourself, what if Michael wasn't the only one? What if there are thousands of men sitting in quiet kitchens, wondering where they went wrong, when all they did was give their best? Here's where it gets interesting. One evening, he walks into a bookstore, not for a book, just to get away. And something draws him towards a group of men in the corner. Not loud, not broken, just still, strong, centered. They don't preach, they don't posture, but when they speak, he listens because he hears something he hadn't heard in a long time. The truth. Not comfort, not blame, just clarity. And in that moment, he doesn't know it yet, but something inside begins to wake up. Something ancient, masculine, fierce, free. And in that moment, he doesn't know it yet, but something inside begins to wake up. I said that already. He doesn't need a guru. Okay. He doesn't need another tip or tactic. He needs them. Men who've walked through the fire and came out forged. You see, Michael didn't need to be fixed. He needed to remember that chair at the table, it's no longer empty. Now it's a seat of power. And the next time his wife looks at him, it's different because he's different. Look, brother, you are not alone, right? This happens because of the myths that you believed. You can't fix this from inside the marriage alone. You need a new framework. You need a new framework, brother. So I got to ask you, do you want to run with the wolves?
Bear club?
Not anymore.
You fix what's broken. You lead like a man again. No pity, no therapy. Just fire, just flame. Cold dead, broken home. Midlife drift, feeling alone. You don't need hacks, blogs, lies. You need men with fire in their eyes. We rebuild from the ground up. No excuses, no soft stuff. Telegram lit 24/7. Brothers locked in, steel, not heaven. Step inside the pack. We don't fall, we attack. Truth, fire, presence, we bring it back. Masculine pride, no time to slack. Step inside the pack. Drop your past, claim your track. No therapy talk, no playing small. We sharpen blades, we take it all.
Can I get too sweet on that, baby? All right. Yeah. So guys, remember this Saturday is the monthly private pod class for Wolfpack members only. We do those once a month now. This will be our third pod class. Last month, brother Dan in here he ran a fucking clinic on how to use hostage negotiation tactics to communicate with your wife from a position of authority. Like, we're dropping real fire in these pod classes, and they're free for members, and it's only $10 a month. Okay. So jump in there now. And then, guys, if you want to work with me directly, you can by booking a call. Go to call.fixdeadbedrooms.com. It's an hour-long session. And if you want to continue working with me in my my 3-month program, I'll actually refund the cost of this call. But it's really about filtering out the tire kickers. Like I said, we had a dozen guys sign up for the workshop on Saturday, and one guy showed up, right? And I bet you half the guys that paid and they want to watch the replay, I bet you only half of those guys do that. The rest are just going to miss out because guys are inherently lazy when it comes to this shit, man. They are the worst. They are the worst. Like people, it's funny. Like a lot of the MGTOW incel guys, like they're like, "Oh, Paul's a grifter" or whatever, right? Like, and on online, anyone you don't like is a grifter. Is really what it comes down to. But if you ask a lot of the guys in the wolf pack, like their lives have fundamentally changed by being in the group and being around other guys that get it, right? Other guys that have studied this stuff. And so it's life-changing stuff, right? If you want to do the work. But yeah, so, occasionally you'll get these MGTOW and incel guys that just don't want to do the work. And so they'll, any guy that you don't like online is a grifter. And I'm like, look, if I wanted to be a grifter, I would be a coach for women, right? Because women spend money on this shit, men don't. Like, I actually picked a hard business to get into because men are fucking lazy when it comes to this stuff. All right, let's get into the last segment here where we get the actionable information. We're going to step out of the myth and into the true masculine leadership, okay? So I've mentioned polarity before, right? But let's talk about why a marriage without masculine, feminine dynamics loses that spark, right? So men and women's differences, we're meant to complement each other, okay? Like the great Rollo Tomassi says, men and women are better together than they are apart. Okay, but we were never meant to do the same things. In fact, even under this fairy tale of equality in our nation, we don't have women doing a lot of the same things, right? How many women garbage collectors are there? How many women oil rig workers are there? Right? How many women are electricians, or fucking pipe fitters, or, right? Like, it's like women only want equality when it's something that they want to do. Right? And so you have primarily dominated, female careers, right? Like HR, right? Primarily women in HR. Teachers, it's like 99% women, right? Women have been doing the same jobs they've always done. And and then they complain about this bullshit wage gap, which has been debunked a billion times, right? But women choose jobs for a better work-life balance, and men choose jobs that pay money, right? And so we're willing to do whatever to protect and provide, and mainly provide, right? So we're fundamentally not the same. And so when you get into a relationship, even if you get the most bossiest of boss bitch women, right? Even if you get like a female executive, this is where hypergamy kicks in, okay? Because if you get a male executive, he'll marry a waitress, right? He'll date and marry a waitress. If she's beautiful enough and she's kind enough and she puts out, he'll marry that woman, right? A female executive is not going to marry a waiter, right? She's only going to marry other executives, or especially like, hopefully the CEO. Like, she wants the cream of the crop. That's hypergamy, okay? But we're different. We're fundamentally different. And in a romantic relationship, that polarity must exist or it's going to die. So even the bossiest of boss bitches wants a man who's more dominant in the relationship, right? Now, here's the thing too. Sometimes it's definitely an exception, not the rule, but sometimes women do, get with guys that make less than them. One of my 3% brothers, who I haven't talked to in a long time, I should reach out to him. He lives down in Montrose, which is like about 45 minutes from me or so. And he runs a fish farm and he has a big ranch house, and he works at the John Deere dealership. You know, I think he sells tractors and stuff like that. So he makes pretty good money. But he's not, rich by any means, but he's, I don't know if he still is, but he was dating this gal down in Arizona, who's a multimillionaire. She ran like a very big construction business down in Arizona, and she's a multimillionaire, but she loves the shit out of him because when they're together, he's the boss. And she just loves that. And she tries, she's just got bad habits from being a CEO of a company where she tries to run things and he just shuts that shit down. And she loves the shit out of it because she's like, I fucking love this. I love how he just runs the relationship and I don't have to. I can relax and be a woman in the relationship. That's what I'm talking about polarity. Like when you allow her to relax into her natural feminine essence because you're setting the tone and leading and you're fully in your masculine essence, right? So what do I mean by masculine essence or masculine energy? Well, there's some traits, right? There's lots of different traits, but here's 3 of them. Decisiveness, right? You act with clarity and conviction, even under uncertainty. If you ever read the book, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, he allegedly, apparently, there's some question in his authenticity. I don't know. It's a good book, and his book has made multiple millionaires. So whatever. But in his book, he says that successful people make decisions quickly and they change their minds rarely, if ever. Right? They're just, they go with their gut and they trust their gut and they're decisive. They don't hem and haw about things. They don't get analysis paralysis. But look at what women do. Women can't even figure out what to wear, out to dinner. And they certainly don't know what food to pick most of the time. Right? Women are very indecisive. And so they lean on their man to be more decisive. And when you can't do that and you let her make all the decisions because you're trying to keep her happy, it kills attraction. Okay. So you got to be the decider. This is going back to the dinner debate thing. It's the perfect example of this where guys get so frustrated, women get so frustrated because guys are like, I just want her to pick a place. I don't care. Well, if you don't care, just fucking pick a place yourself, bro. And tell her what you're doing. Right? When I started doing that, it was just like like the light shine down from heaven. When I heard that and I go, well, let me test this out. And I started doing it and I realized, holy crap. Like 99.9% of the time, women are like, okay, yeah, that sounds good. Right? If you're like, hey, grab your shoes, right? Hey, we're going out to dinner, grab your shoes, and you don't tell them what you're doing too. Right? Now, some guys will be like, oh, this is the perfect trick, right? You go, okay, I'm going to take you out to dinner. Guess where I'm taking you? And then the first place that they guess, you go, yep, that's where I was taking you, right? That's still being passive. You're still being a little bitch when you do stupid shit like that. Okay. And there was a video that went viral where it completely backfired, where the guy's like, guess where I'm taking you, trying to do that thing. And she picked like a really fancy 5-star restaurant. And he's like, yep. Where it's like $400 a plate. You're going to shoot yourself in the foot with that one, bucko. Why don't you just don't do that? Just fucking pick a place yourself. And what's really cool about that, you always get to eat where you want, what you want. It's amazing. It's amazing. So be more decisive. All right. You've got to have that grounded presence, right? Where you stay calm and centered regardless of external chaos. This is why like women will come up to you and they're all frantic and crazy and they're full of anxiety and fucking insecurities and shit like that. And they come up to you and they're all like, being crazy from emotion. And then you're just like, oh, well, here, let me try to fix that. Trying to make her happy all the time. That's not grounded presence. You're climbing on her fucking emotional roller coaster. She doesn't want you there. And that makes her feel less safe and secure in the relationship. Right. So this is where you got to like not take what she says so seriously. And almost like jokingly poke fun at her for that kind of stuff. You're not rattled by stuff. She needs to feel like her crazy bullshit won't impact you, because if her crazy bullshit impacts you, what happens when something serious happens? Right? If something serious in life happens, she's expecting you to be the rock that carries the family through, and you can't even deal with her stupid shit. She's not going to trust your leadership. She's not going to trust you to be the protector of the family during a crisis. It makes her feel less safe and secure, right? So you got to learn how to not climb on her emotional roller coaster. You got to have that grounded presence. And you got to have purpose-driven leadership, right? You got to be a guy that leads with a vision, taking responsibility for outcomes without blame, right? You're the one running the show. You're the captain of the ship. When I say take responsibility for outcomes without blame, look at what an actual captain of a U.S. warship has to do if one of his crew members runs the ship aground. He's responsible for that. He gets relieved of duty for that because he's ultimately responsible. That's your job as the boss, as the leader. Okay. What's feminine energy? Here's 3 examples. Emotional expression, right? It's her job to bring color and depth to the relationship by sharing feelings openly and vulnerably, right? By being vulnerable. How's that? So guess what? If you're the one that's sharing feelings and being vulnerable, you're acting like a woman, right? Women say that, oh, I want him to be more vulnerable. No, they don't. No, they fucking don't. Don't listen to, what's her name? Brene Brown. She don't know shit. She don't know shit. As soon as you start being like, overly expressing your emotions and you're being vulnerable with her, her vagina starts drying up and she doesn't know why. Because she's like, I'm supposed to care. I think I should care, but I just don't fucking care about his struggles. I wish he would man up. Why won't he man up? Where have all the cowboys gone? Right? Like when women say, I need a man who's emotionally intelligent, what it means is you need to understand her emotions and not be rattled by them, basically. That's what she's looking for. Feminine energy is receptivity, right? She welcomes affection, leadership, and support, deepening intimacy through her surrender. Okay. Like women are built, they're hardwired to receive a man, right? Physically, spiritually, they are built to receive a man, and we are built to penetrate the world, right? We're thrusting ourselves out to the world, and you can look at it sexually, you can look at it however you want, okay? But that's masculine energy. We're penetrating the world, and women are built to receive, okay? Flow and intuition. Women move through emotions and life transitions with grace, often guiding through subtle emotional wisdom, right? Women are guided by their emotions, basically, right? Feminine intuition. How to stop being dad 2.0 and start being you again. Well, one, you can reclaim your dominant masculine identity, right? Stop defining yourself solely as a provider, fixer, or a chauffeur, and remember who you were before the responsibilities. What made your wife or your girlfriend attracted to you in the beginning? Because you weren't a fucking dad in the beginning, you weren't a dad in the beginning. You were a fucking single Chad guy that was attractive and sexy. You want to prioritize your needs, right? Put yourself first. Make space for solitude, purpose, and physicality without guilt or explanation. You don't owe her an explanation, right? I got a really great email. I read it. I put it on a video. I read it on a video. A really great email from a guy in his 60s talking about how he's been listening to my podcast for a month and shit's been changing for him in his marriage already. And one of the things is that he told his wife, hey, he works from home. She's a teacher. And so if it's summertime, so she's home, and it's funny how women sort of act when they're home and you're working from home. They think that you're there for them, right? My ex-wife used to do this to me when I first started working from home. She was like, oh, you're here. Can you help me with the kids? No, I'm at work, So anyway, he set that boundary. He's like, look, I work from this time to this time. I go to the gym from this time to this time. Don't worry, I'm going to make time for you, but I am doing these things. Right. And then she would test him to see if she could get him to still, let's see if he'll budge on that. Right. So she's like, hey, you want to come shopping with me? He's like, no, I'm at work. Right. He told her no. And so the more he started doing that, the more she's like, oh shit, I like this. I like him telling me no. Right. So don't be afraid to prioritize your needs. And you want to lead with authenticity, not obligation. Okay. Shift from people pleasing to presence. Your value isn't in what you do, it's in who you are. Okay. A lot of guys feel obligated to do all this nice guy shit around the house, right? Because you got to be a servant leader, bro. Like that's what church tells you to do. No, like, you be authentic, be who you are. All right. Don't be afraid to say no, especially if you don't want to do something. Like, no, I'm not going to help Sally move this weekend. So she's going to have to get her own man. Okay. Rebuild yourself first, brother, because your marriage reflects your energy. All right. Focus on the map. What's the map? It's the male action plan. It's a concept I got from Athol K in his book, A Married Man's Sex Life Primer, but I have a whole chapter on the map, focusing on the map in Get Her to Fuck You Again. It's, you want to start working on your, basically the core four, right? Muscles, money, game, and frame, right? But the money's for you. The money, if you can get your finances under control, that's just one less stress in the relationship. It's not about, giving your wife more money so she can be a gold digger, right? That's not what we're talking about. Money is for you. And so it's not a stressor on the relationship. A lot of relationships fail because of financial arguments, right? Because women are buying fucking like Louis Vuitton shoes and stuff. And you're like, what the fuck? I needed new tires on the car that gets me to work. And you bought fucking shoes that you're never going to wear. Anyway, boundaries versus begging, the respect shift. So you set the tone and lead the relationship the way you want it to go. Okay. I talk a lot about it in here, right? By having a vision for the relationship. How do you want this relationship to go? Right? Well, you need to lead it in that direction. That's your job. Okay. Don't be afraid to tell her no. And for the love of God, for the love of all things holy, stop deering. What's deering? Defend, explain, excuse, rationalize, right? You don't have to justify yourself to your wife. And when she gets mad and bitches at what you're doing, you don't have to explain yourself to her. You're the fucking captain of the ship, right? A captain doesn't have to explain himself to the executive officer. Okay. But the executive officer might have a valid concern. So you should hear her out. All right. And if she has a point, okay. All right, well, let's make some changes here. You actually make a good point there, executive officer. Good job, right? But for the love of fucking God, don't start defending yourself, explaining. But that's a knee-jerk reaction. It's so hard. That's one of the hardest habits for men to break, is to stop justifying themselves, right? You don't have to fucking justify yourself all the time. It puts you at a one-down, weak position. Your wife can't be your compass, okay? You have to be her compass, right? Following her moods and tiptoeing around her and walking on eggshells creates instability. When you let her emotional state dictate your direction, you both end up feeling lost, right? You get frustrated. You're like, God, I don't know what to do. She's fucking an emotional basket case, right? And then she doesn't know what to do because she's led by her emotions, and you're not leading and you're not setting the tone. So she feels out of control, right? So you both end up fucking lost, right? She's tests your center, not your obedience. Okay. She's not looking for agreement when she shit tests you. She's looking for you to feel grounded with certainty. That's why it's okay to tell your wife, no, we're not doing that. Right? Because she's like, oh, good. Okay. Okay. I kind of like that you told me. I don't know why. I thought I wanted this thing, but now I realize I don't want this thing. That's so weird. So weird how that works. And your purpose sets the tone, okay? When you lead from vision, she feels safe to relax into her feminine, knowing that you're steering the ship. Most men I work with, they start this transformation with the book, right? Get Her to Fuck You Again. And then they go into coaching, okay? Not because they're weak, but because they're ready to lead again. In content like this, the free content on the podcast, that opens your eyes, but the real change starts with taking decisive action, right? This is why I'm always like, be more decisive. Stop hemming and hawing, okay? If you've been thinking about grabbing the book, grab the fucking book, okay? You won't regret it. I'll leave. Let me ask you a question, though. Right? When would now be a good time to take that decisive action, brother? Think about that for a minute. While you're thinking about that, you were told marriage means losing yourself. That's the lie. When you reclaim your masculine identity, the marriage and your happiness follows. Get the book, join the wolf pack. Let's fix this together, okay, brother? Tune into the podcast on Wednesday. We're going to talk about why smart men keep falling in love, we're talking about why smart men keep failing in love and how to fix it. It's based on chapter 10 of Forget That Bitch, a red pill guide to breakups. So if you're a divorced man or single and can't figure out why you can't keep women around, then you'll want to tune in for that one. Okay. You'll want to tune in for that one. It's all about breaking ineffective relationship patterns. Very, very much like what this episode's about. Okay. but different. Okay. Same, but different. All right. That's all I got, guys. Do be sure to, where is it at here? Do be sure to like, subscribe, hit those notifications. I have new episodes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Thanks for everyone that dropped a comment. If you guys are watching the replay, drop a comment below. Let me know what you liked about this episode, would you? I didn't get any super chats today. I'm not mad, but I'm just disappointed. Okay. I mean, y'all are sending these $500 super chats out here, and brother could get a ducat or two, but that's okay. Follow me on social media. The links are in the description. Grab the ebook, She's Made You Weak. If you haven't gotten it already, it's the top link in the description there. And then while you're at it, grab the book, Get Her to Fuck You Again. It's a full book. You can get that on Amazon or Audible. Get in the wolf pack and show up for the pod class this Saturday. It's a 7-day free trial. So if you sign up today, stay in the group, see how you like it this week, show up for the pod class. If you like the group, stay in the group. If not, no harm, no foul. Okay. And then guys, if you want to work with me one-on-one, book a call, go to call.fixdeadbedrooms.com. That's all I got. We will see you guys on Wednesday.
This has been the Come On Man podcast. Now, go out and get it.